Hello, this is the second ZAAG Band Q&A video. We have moved on a couple of years since the last one. It's now October 2015, and we are again in Weymouth in the Golden Lion pub, where we do most of our recording. I am George, and this is Andy.
Hiya.
As we did last time, we asked fans, friends, family to write into us with any questions they'd like to ask, focusing, if possible, on the two albums we have done since the last Q&A session, and we have a number of questions to work our way through, so we will just start. The first question is from Mr. S. Scott from Hertfordshire, who's been a long-time supporter of the ZAAG Band, so hello there, Mr. Scott. He asked us, in the run-up to your new album, Forever Hold Your Peace, on your Facebook page, you were talking about a new lead vocalist and also the return of your female backing vocalist. And when the album came out, neither happened. And he just wanted to know why neither of those two things came to pass. As you know, we lost Zola, our previous lead singer, last August, I think, wasn't it, Andy? Yeah. On medical grounds, unfortunately. So we advertised for a new lead vocalist, and we had a number of responses, one of which actually came from someone that both Andy and I know. So we were lined up to let this guy have a crack at being lead vocalist, and the first vocal recording session that we did here in the Golden Lion, unfortunately he just didn't show up. On that very same day as well, Jojo was ill and again couldn't make the recording session. So basically Andy and I were left in a position of either just having to give up everything for a number of days, weeks or whatever, or just plough on covering the vocals ourselves, and that's just what we chose to do. So two rather unfortunate events, but we had to just make the best of it that we could. Our next question is from Mr. A. McKinley from Lancashire, and he just asked, do we ever record acoustically? And I will pass over to Andy to answer that one.
And the very simple answer is, until very recently, we have never needed to record acoustically. The Faith Acoustic has an internal pickup, and it's better to do a direct injection so that we don't get any noise from the room or extraneous noise either. For the latest album, which we're in the process of writing, I have used an acoustic mandolin, which I had to mic up, but I did that in my own studio. There's less noise there, there's a smaller room, so you don't get a lot of reverb. So no, we don't generally, just because we don't like the extraneous noise that comes with miking an instrument up. Yeah. But if it's necessary, it can be done.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just ask my own question here. If we were to mic up my acoustic, would that drastically change the sound, or would that make it harder for you in production?
It wouldn't make it any harder in production, no. As for changing the sound, it depends on how you mic it up.
Okay.
You can do it, various angles that you mic at will change, because you're picking up from different points in the body.
Yeah.
So we can mic it to a sound that you prefer.
Right. Okay. Well, that's something new every day. Thanks, Andy. Right. The next one is sort of a planted question by the band. I should explain that, as I'm sure you know, we have a page on Django in which we rotate some of our songs. And through Django, we get to meet some very interesting people in different parts of the world, people who register as their fans. And I've had the privilege of talking to Rebecca Remington in the last few weeks. Now, Rebecca is based in Los Angeles, and she's a director, actress, voiceover artist, author, scriptwriter, a phenomenal talent. And we were discussing the work that she had done and the ZAAG Band had done. And she is a big Meatloaf fan, and the subject of one of our songs came up in discussions. All You'll Ever Need on Leaping Monopoly Buildings was our attempt and a big Meatloaf production number, male-female duet, and a sort of Jim Steinman type song. And the question was just the differences between a classic Meatloaf number, which she loves, and what we did as a sort of homage to that type of song. I think we'll try and answer this between us. The first thing that struck me is that a lot of the big Meatloaf production numbers have very long instrumentals, introductions at the start of the song. Now, the first ever incarnation of All You'll Ever Need had a long intro piece that just made the song ridiculously long at the end. I think it was up 10, 12 minutes or something stupid.
It was over 12 minutes.
Oh,
time, so.
yeah, it just ended up being ridiculously long. So we just sliced that big instrumental introduction off completely and pretty much go straight into the vocal. We kept the composition fairly simple, I have to say. We just had a drum machine, guitar, bass, and piano. So we stripped back the whole sound. But I think the main difference was in the vocal. Now, Zola, again, also a big Meatloaf fan, was just itching to sort of belt out a full-blown rock and roll lyric. However, the song was written with a twist that the female character in the song is the dominant character, and the male one we wanted to come across as, I won't say weedy, but that's a bit too strong, but not a big rock and roll dude, just more sort of a normal guy type feel to him. So in the Meatloaf duets, Meatloaf is the star, the main singer, and the female plays the backup role. In our song, we wanted to sort of flip that on its head. So it was JoJo's vocal, or her character, I should say, that was the dominant one. So I'm not sure if you can think of any other differences, Andy?
No, as you explained, we did keep our instruments down to a minimum number. There was no big rock and roll production. There wasn't any real, in the production stage, there wasn't anything added to make it any bigger either. We tried to keep a minimal sound.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we didn't want the music to overpower the lyric, I think, Well, it was the interplay between the two characters that we really wanted to explore rather than having sort of screeching guitar solos or whatever in the background to detract from that. So those were the sort of differences. So while we were inspired by that style of music, it was not meant to be a caricature or a copy. Okay, the next question that we have is from Ms. S. Svensson from Sweden. Hello to Sweden. And she asks us, on Forever Hold Your Peace, you say that you use a Variax guitar and also a proper acoustic guitar. When did you use which? Now, Andy may have a better memory than I do on this. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, that we used the proper Faith acoustic on Course 5, Heads I Win, Tails You Lose.
Right.
Yeah, so that was it was a Faith Eclipse Venus guitar, absolutely beautiful sounding instrument. That was a sort of picked chords on the proper acoustic. I believe all other acoustic sounds were produced from the Variax. Things on the, Praise to Paternoster piece in the national anthem. I think that was the Variax, if I remember correctly.
On that one.
Yeah. So I think the proper Faith was only used on Course 5. The rest was the Variax. Okay, the next question that we have is from Mr. B. Lebrun from Quebec in Canada. Hello, Canada. And he asks us, on Forever Hold Your Peace, you can hear a theremin on the album. And he just wanted to know how that came about. I'll pass over to Andy.
And the simple answer to that. Our friend Peter Lithgow, the voice of Paternoster, had turned up during the recording, the rehearsal, and just happened to bring a theremin that he owns with him. Decided, we'll have a listen to it and see. and he just played along with what the chord structure that you had. So basically I thought, well, you know, he's done a bit of work there. We recorded it anyway, why not keep it? And it turned out that, you know, whilst it didn't fit the song itself, the sound was such a great sound, we had to use it in some way. So we used it in what became the remix, the Ballad of Mayto, with a little bit of work from me, you know, just to make, because unfortunately one of the side effects of a theremin is that notes don't begin and end. It's one long note that glides up and down. And sometimes that glide will overhang, as it were, so it doesn't quite cut with the chords. So in production, you know, I digitized the sound originally, which really ruined the sound. You know. So decided to throw that bit away, and rather than digitize the sound, I just produced it with gains, so it does actually cut off on notes. So that just fits the music better, and with the instruments that we used in the ballad version, it just worked so perfectly well. Lovely sound.
Yes, it was fantastic. Because I remember at the time, because that was on, again, Course 5, which we talked about, the Faith Acoustic, and that you did a sort of keyboard piece, sort of inspired by what Pete did. Not the same, but, you know, the same kind of feel. And when it came to which we were going to use, as we do in the ZAAG Band, it's very democratic, we put it to a vote as to whether we would use keyboard sounds or the theremin for the main piece. And we decided on the keyboard sound because I felt that while the song is a sort of lilting love song, the sound of the keyboard really sort of demonstrated the madness within Portcullis. So he was singing a love song and proposing to his girlfriend, but the sound of the keyboards was a complete contrast to what was coming out of his mouth. So there was a real paradox there between something very romantic, but coming from basically a psychopath. And the contrast between the two, I just thought worked really nicely. But as Andy said, the theremin was just too good to throw away, which is why Andy came up with a ballad for Mayto as a bonus track to keep the theremin on the album.
Just a little clarification. The keyboard part that you hear was originally a choir part.
Oh!
And I had played, this is why Peter knew what to play, because I had played this to him before. I don't think you'd heard the choir part.
No, I didn't know that.
The choir part just wouldn't have worked with what else was going on in the song. So, after hearing the theremin, I wanted a sound that was as haunting as that, but slightly more menacing.
Yeah.
The theremin's such a beautiful sound, it almost sounds angelic, and that's not what we needed in the song.
Yeah.
So that, in essence, the keyboard part that you hear was brought about because I liked the theremin sound.
Right. Oh, God, learned something new myself there. Thanks, Andy. The next question that we have is actually from one of my relations in New Zealand, my cousin Angela. So hello to New Zealand. And she just asked a very simple question. Have any of the songs you have ever done been inspired by New Zealand? Hey, nice question, Angela. Thank you. I would have to say, up until now, the answer is no. But on our 6th album, which we've started working on, we are working on a song that was inspired by my first trip to New Zealand many years ago. A place called Bland Bay up in Northland. It's an absolutely beautiful part of the world. So we have on the upcoming album a song called Walking With You, and the lyrics are inspired by my trip to Bland Bay many years ago. So not yet, Angela. Bit of patience, and it'll be there hopefully next summer, I think, for our next release. The next question we have is from another long-time supporter of the band, Phil Cowdell in London. Hello, Phil. He says, Phil is a guitarist, and he's been trying to play along with the high elders, and he can't quite get it. So he's asking what chords and or what scale was used in this song. Right. The scale is what's called the C Hungarian minor scale. Slightly exotic, but produces a slightly menacing, almost disconcerting type sound when you listen to it. It's one of these scales that doesn't sound quite right. And the chords, if I remember correctly, go something like C minor to G to A flat seventh and an E flat augmented, if I remember correctly. So the reason that was chosen, just we had never written a song of that scale before, and we just wanted to try something new. And that actually worked out very well, given the subject matter of the song, I thought.
I agree too.
Yeah, it is. You hear it and you think there's just something not quite right there. You know,
there's a overtone that's quite menacing, isn't it?
Yeah. And when the feel of that scale, along with the sort of the marching boots that Andy added in, gives a very, menacing type feel to the whole piece. So your answers are C Hungarian minor, and if you want to know more, Google it. You'll find lots of information out there on the scale and how to play it. The next question that we have is from another long-time supporter of the band, Mr. Scott, who actually I think, I just noticed we have two questions from him. This is the second question. And he just said, I love your song, Good Simile, on leaping monopoly buildings in a single bound. He said he loves the words that just make him laugh, and he also loved the performance by Jojo. He said, how did those lyrics come about, or how did you get the idea for the song? True story, I was on a train from my home up to London, and there was I think mid-Saturday morning, the train was very quiet, and I was sitting there, and there was a group of 5 or 6 15, 16-year-old female teenagers behind me, and I couldn't help listening to their conversations, and they used the word like so often it really started to grate with me. They would say things like, and it was like, and he was like, and they were like, and it was like, and he was like, oh my God, and I was like, no way, and it was like, whatever. Oh. So I started counting the number of times between them they used the word like, and in 2 minutes they had used it 72 times. And so the song was based on the overuse of the word like, bringing the idea of taking it into a song the way that people tend to speak now, using far too many words and no words that are necessary to get their meaning across. And I also had the idea that if someone uses the word like a lot, if they really like something, as opposed to saying I really like it, would they say they like it? And if they love something, would say they like it? So that was sort of the idea, to try and get the word like in as many times as possible in the first half of the song, and in the second half of the song, pass it off to Zola so we could have a rant about that method of speaking. So that's how it came about. Okay, the next question that we have is from Mrs. L. Schwartz in Chicago in the US. Hello, Chicago. And she asks, is there a ZAAG Band fan club I can join?
Not yet, unless somebody wants to start one.
Hey.
At the moment, we have our Facebook page.
Yeah, our Facebook page is sort of where our fans come together, but
it's not really a fan club.
It's not really a fan club as such. So I think the answer is no, unless you want to start one yourself. And if you start one in Chicago, we will quite happily come out to fan club conventions. So the answer is no, but please join. Please start one if you feel so inclined.